I'm going to jump right in. I got 3 different topics I want to talk about this morning. First one has to do around a book that I would definitely encourage everyone to pick up at some point in their life. It's written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's called The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements. And in this book, it talks a bit about things that really help people get them in order, get their life in order, get their mindset on track. It's a book that I listen to on audio pretty much every year to start my year. And it's just a good reminder of things to do to apply to life and to apply to you. So I'm going to walk through the 4 agreements and some lessons I learned from them and to kick off the call. So the first agreement is stick to your word. Stick to your word. You know, it's so interesting because I remember being young in my career, late teenage years, early 20s. And I remember I would say a lot of things. Say I was going to do something. I would say I would meet someone somewhere. I would be there at a certain time. I would, complete a certain task. And when it came down to it, I didn't do it. My word wasn't gold. And I realized as I got older and older and I started to watch business, started to watch people in business, young people, mature people, big companies, working with big organizations, I started to realize that people who didn't stick to their word compared to people who did, they had very different lives, very different careers. And, so give an example, there was a part of our business in the, I'd say early 2000s that we were working with a client in New York. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Verizon, but kind of a big telecom company. And over the course of a few months, there was a partner of ours, a manager ran a market that would make false promises on certain calls and certain things. And they wouldn't follow through on being on the calls and being present and following through with different tasks that the clients asked. And literally the client said, we don't want to work with them and we don't want to work with you guys in this market anymore. So we had to close down that location and move people around to different markets and make moves to take care of our people because the leader of the group stick to their word. And I think that's kind of an extreme circumstance. I can just tell you in relationships, especially the one that I have with my wife, which I believe your relationship with your significant other is the most important relationship you have. It is vital to stick to your word. If you tell someone you're going to be there, so Sarah's an example, I tell her sometimes I'm working, I'm going to be home at a certain time. She's expecting me to be home at that time because she also has things she does. She has a business she runs, etc. So number 1 is stick to your word. Number 2 is don't take things personally. Don't take things personally. I realized, again, throughout my career that there's gonna be a lot of people that have opinions. Some of them are positive opinions about you and about your choices and about your life, maybe about your relationships, maybe about things you want to accomplish, some of your dreams. And, I've learned again that when I used to take things personally, it would really get to me. Even customers and what we do in sales. I used to have the word no actually really affect my attitude. Like a certain scenario would be playing out and it would get to maybe the end of the scenario where I was going to make some commissions or make some money on this deal, a few $100, a few $1,000s at times. And for whatever reason, the deal wouldn't close. And I remember, again, taking it personal, feeling like I was doing something wrong and feeling like, I wasn't competent or capable. And again, what I realized was, there's some skills that I needed to get better at. There were some things that I had to adjust in my process. It's interesting because a lot of times, people that when they're doing something, they don't always evaluate. They don't always self-evaluate. And sometimes they just kind of let it go and move on from it, as opposed to using it as a teaching opportunity. I'm a firm believer that in business and in life, you either fill your pockets with money or you fill your pockets with knowledge. And you need the knowledge, the money. Right? So if you don't have anything that, doesn't go your way, you fumble, you screw up, those days, in my opinion, are more valuable than the days when everyone's saying yes. It's just easy to hit your sales goals. So number 2 is don't take things personally. Number 3 is don't make assumptions. Make assumptions. I think the saying is, when you look at the word assume, you kind of break it up. That's out of you and me. So don't assume. And in business, it's interesting because the saying is seek to understand, then be understood. Right? So often people assume the negative. They assume something is happening when it's not happening. And we do this to ourselves. We do this. I know I did this in my 20s and when I started when I started dating people and having relationships. If somebody didn't call me back right away, or someone was going out with a friend, and someone was going, liked a girl, we were dating a little bit, and they went out with another guy, like I assumed the worst. And I remember that just caused me a lot of pain, a lot of emotional stress, and just stress in general. When ultimately, I can tell you, when you have confidence in yourself, I remember my wife and I, when we got together, we talked, and it's funny because we just kind of said to each other, you're not that stupid. Because if you are, I'm done. There's no room for error on this one. And so we chose to live our life that way. We chose to live and trust each other that way. And we don't assume if she's got dinner plans with people, she's going out and it is what it is. But I have confidence in myself and confidence in my relationship, that I don't assume. And that's definitely a maturity thing. And for you guys that are young in your relationship world, or maybe in your careers, I know that's a difficult one to kind of learn. And then number 4 of the 4 agreements is do your best. Do your best. For some people, doing their best is making $500, $800 a day in commissions and in sales. For other people, it's making 100 or 200. Everyone's level or standard of living and how they want to live their lives and how they want to accomplish what they want to do, the effort they want to put in, the results they want to get, it's all very different. Everyone, again, has different standards. When I started my career in my 20s, and I say this kind of often, I had certain goals by 30, financial goals. And I was 22 years old, starting off in the industry that we're in, and a lot of us are in on the call. And I saw a path to be a self-made millionaire by learning the business and running an office and learning how the organization worked. And I just realized very quickly that it wasn't based on what school I went to, how old I was, what I looked like. It wasn't based on anything but my effort and ultimately my results. And so my best was making, over $1,000 a week in the field and learning the sales, pushing 2,000 a week, and not just kind of getting by and doing the bare minimum. And so it's very interesting because I even remember, some of my trainers and people that taught me the business and everything else, and that I would go out with, I would see certain habits that they would do. They would take kind of long lunches. They would kind of, they weren't always focused. They're on their phones. They're doing different things that I didn't really necessarily do. And I started to realize that, no, it's all good. They're human, no judgment, but I just wasn't going to do what they did. Certain results. I wanted to get after things. So one thing I did young in my career, as an example, I used to bring my lunch all the time. Because when my training days, one of my trainers took me to lunch And, we went and had pizza or whatever, and we took 20 minutes to get there. And then we sat there and night lunch for 20 minutes, and we took 20 minutes to get back. And I'm thinking to myself, man, there's an hour, hour and a half of time of customers. We kind of missed out on things. And so in my eyes, I was like, hey, listen, I want to work. I want to make some money. I was so far, I wasn't necessarily broke, but I was pretty close to it, being young out of college. And I had certain things. I was on paying my own bills. My parents weren't, I was living in my parents' basement. I didn't have that safety net. I needed to work. And so I had to get after it. And so with that said, I did that. And so my best was a little bit different than others' best. And just remember, you set that bar. Set the targets on a daily basis, weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. And when you do your best, the neat thing about it is you have no regrets. You don't put your head down at the end of the day and think, oh man, I should have done this. I could have done this. When you do your best, you just put your head down at the end of the day, and you know that ultimately it was a good day. And whether the results added up or not, they were going to add up the next day if they didn't add up that day, when you do your best all the time. And keep in mind, you should work for learning. As you learn more and you do your best, the learning translates, the experience translates to making the income you want to make. So that's the first topic today is learning about the 4 agreements. Like I said, I highly encourage you, if you haven't got a chance to pick up that book, definitely a good one to pick up and to read. It'll definitely help you out, or maybe get the audio or something like that. All right. Second thing I want to talk about is a little bit about the mentality of leaders, the mentality of leadership in general, in regards to motivation and inspiration. So they say motivation is like bathing. Probably do it daily. Funny, after I did a fitness test today with my trainer, I had a mask on and everything else, and it was like they did a oxygen test and a heart rate test, and I ran on the treadmill for 2 miles or whatever this morning, and it was kind of uncomfortable or whatever. After the workout, he was giving me all the paperwork from all the things that he was going over with me, and he says to me, he goes, "So you're gonna go down and take a shower? I'm gonna go." So I'm like, "You think I should take a shower today?" I was kind of wondering if I probably shouldn't. He just laughed. I'm like, bro, but motivation is like bathing. You should absolutely think about doing it daily. And so when it comes to motivation, I'll tell you a leadership concept. My mentality around motivation, I remember young in my career, people used to say things like, your job as a leader is to motivate your people. Your job as a leader is to really get people fired up and get them moving to accomplish their goals. And that's true. But frankly, my goal is not to motivate people at all, really. My goal is to find motivated people that I can help coach. It's a very different mindset. So give an example. As people get onboarded, I see Paul on this morning. We have these videos that we got to do to be compliant to be in the stores. And, I kind of look, we have systems. I can tell when people log into the systems and how early they do these things and how they do it in general. And I get excited when I see a motivated lady tracking her goals, getting things going. And it's very interesting to me. I talked to Jason, who trained her yesterday, and the feedback was fantastic. All positive, great. Obviously she learned how to deal with customers and kind of getting out there, figuring it out. But that's a perfect example of a motivated person. She interviewed with our company from Brazil, right? Like I think you're in the airport from what I remember you were saying, Paul. Like, she was making it happen. I just think to myself, how many people in the world would say, yeah, I just can't figure it out. I can't do it. I can't, whatever. And again, I remember a lot of times in my career, people saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And I've learned that word can't means want. Because they actually can do it. Do whatever you put your mind to. You can do whatever you want to do. You ultimately just don't want to. which is okay, which is totally okay, right? And so when you think of motivation and inspiration, so the question is, if you're a leader and you want to lead people and you want to coach people, you want to potentially be in a role where people look up to you, you got to think about, okay, how do I inspire people? The idea is not to motivate them in my eyes. The idea is to inspire people. And I've learned that the way you inspire people is you actually be worth following. You actually be an example to people that that people want to be like. And how do you do that? Well, number one, you live a life to live. Treat people amazing. You actually have like something to give. When you're out in the community, you're out at restaurants, you're out with your friends, you treat people really, really well, right? You go out of your way. When you're walking out of the gym, you're walking out of a restaurant, you hold the door for someone. You do nice things for people. You actually think about other people before you think of yourself. And these are all things that I remember being young and my mom would say to me, and I was just like annoyed by it. I'm like, that just seems so dumb. But as I've gotten older, I started to realize, like, man, that's like, it's such a ripple effect on people. You have no idea what's going on in that other human's world. By you doing something nice for them, holding the door for them, by you having nice, saying, hey, you look really sharp today. And like giving to people and giving words of affirmation to people. It's amazing how that will build something inside of them in a positive way. And that could be the difference in their day. But again, inspiring people is not an easy thing to do. I will tell you, inspiring people is you're always going to be on stage. It could be in the office, it could be in your relationships, but it is definitely not an easy thing. And I'll tell you, the difference between motivation and inspiration is a very unique thing. Motivation is very temporary, right? It's like, you get motivated to go to the gym once. Well, what happens when you're sore? What happens when you're not quite feeling it? You stay up late watching the Penn State Nittany Lions whoop up on Texas A&M, and you in the March Madness contest. I don't know if you guys saw that. By the way, Auburn looked good, Brandon. I watched that game too. Yeah, Smiley's all smiles today with Auburn winning. Yeah, it's temporary. Motivation is temporary. You got to be inspired. Some of you guys don't know this, but the reason why I take care of my health and I literally work out 7 days a week when most people don't work out 2 or 3 is because the deep meaning, the deep inspiration is I want to be around. I lost my parents to cancer 10 years ago over 3 months. And there is no science that anything that we looked into that made it make sense on why they got sick. Couldn't figure it out. It wasn't because they had some like thing they ate or we couldn't figure it out. And so in my mind, I want to be around for my kids. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to see them have kids. I want to see them accomplish things. I want to see them do the things that I'm doing. And so deep inside of my mind and my heart, I got to take care of my health. I'm very conscious of what I eat. I'm very conscious of what I drink, and I don't really drink anymore. Every once in a while I have a beer or something. But I'm very conscious of my exercise and the things I put in my body, right? Because I want this thing to be strong. And I'm super conscious of what I put in my mind because that determines everything else, right? So just remember, when it comes to inspiration, if you have a deeper meaning, you'll be inspired to generate things inside of you then will then turn into daily motivation to do things. And I've learned that discipline is probably the most unrecognized or probably one of the most important things you can lean on if you want to succeed is your own discipline and getting up. When that alarm goes off in the morning, when you ask yourself, oh, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to pick up this book? Do I really want to whatever? Most people, when you feel that pressure, most people choose not to do those things. That's when I lean into them. And I lean into the things that are not easy because I know that's going to make me different. because I also know when it comes to the world of business and finance, that there's only a certain percentage of people that make over 6 figures. It's a very small percentage. Out of 100 people standing in a room, it's less than 10%. And there's even a smaller percentage of people that make millions, even a smaller percentage of people that make billions. And so you got to ask yourself again, what you want to be a part of the masses, or you want to be a part of the minority? And maybe it's because I am a minority. I like it already. So, all right. So that's inspiration. And it's super, super important to think about what inspires you to get your days and your weeks going. All right. And the last thing I want to talk about today, the third topic, is basic needs, human needs. So again, there's a lot of leaders that watch our channel. There's a lot of business people that watch the channel that care about making a difference and care about influencing people in a positive way. And so I want to cover 4 basic needs that people really need on a daily basis in their life to accomplish, and again, to be motivated. So the first basic need is happiness, love, and belonging. Happiness, love, and belonging. And it's so interesting to me that how people that feel loved, people who feel supported, people who feel like they belong to a cause, they're willing to do amazing things, crazy things. I mean, if you read history, I didn't read history. I didn't read a lot in high school and college, but there's some people, I mean, on the negative side of things, some people do some bad things because they felt they belonged. There's some people that did incredibly amazing things because they felt like they belonged. They felt love from a certain community, and that created their happiness. So number one, I would ask myself, if I'm a leader and I'm in a role of influence, how much love, how much of a sense of belonging am I giving my team or my organization? Number two is a basic need is significance. Significance. The reason why I go out of my way to point out the behaviors I value, the things when people are doing good on our team, in the office, in the business that I'm in, is because when you feel significant, you feel appreciated, there's a different energy. And I know, again, the world is an interesting place. Most people are more likely to point out the negatives in things, the negatives in situations, the negatives about you. If you want to be very different as a human being and as a leader, I would point out the good and know that over time, the negatives, the things that don't help people, life is a very interesting way of self-correcting. And if something's not good for somebody, they'll find out and they'll get corrected. And it'll be humbling for them. And fortunately, unfortunately, they'll have to correct and self-correct to get to what they want to do. So number two is significance. Number three is growth. People want growth. So again, a lot of you guys, a lot of people watch the channel are leaders. They get opportunities to run little meetings and little huddles with their group, with their teams. The question is, do you bring something of significance to your team on a daily basis? And do you offer them something to help them grow? You know, one thing I used to do is I used to bring a daily quote or a daily message for 3 to 4 minutes when I met with and I had a little huddle with my team as I was young in leadership. And then I'd ask them their opinion. Hey, what do you think about this concept? What's your feedback? What did you learn from this? And I'll tell you, that was huge. And again, people always, they want new things. That newness keeps things exciting. You know, that's why in the New Year's, you'll see all the people with these New Year's resolutions. They make all these commitments in their first 30 days. That's why the gym memberships in the world always go up in January. You know, most of the time by February, all those people that signed up are not even going, but they're still paying. Somebody told me recently, I think it was Jason on the call today, he told me recently, he's like, at the gyms, if everyone actually that had a membership went to the gym, there wouldn't be enough equipment to cover everybody. And I actually asked my trainer how many members there are at the Commerce Lifetime, and he said there's like 10,000 members. at the Commerce Lifetime. And I was like, how many of those do you think actually use the membership? And he's like, about 30%. I was like, how many use it more than 3 days a week? He's like, less than 20%. I was like, isn't that crazy? He goes, no, that's just the way it is. You know, people do things that they get memberships for things that they don't even use, right? That's how human nature is. And the gym world is betting on people not doing what they, back to like sticking your word, doing things that they say they're going to do. So number 3 is growth. Definitely bring things to offer your people. And then last but not least, basic need is meaning. Meaning. So meaning what they do to make a difference in others. How are they making an imprint on the planet? How are they making an imprint on the market? How are they making an imprint on business and on your business, on your team? So that's why in our organization, we try to do our best to recognize people on a daily basis. All right. So listen, hopefully you guys took a lot away from today. I'm going to stop the recording now for our KLear channel. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet to the KLear channel, KLear on YouTube, please do. We have over 1,300 subscribers today. And I'll tell you, my personal mission, as I mentioned this recently to in the office, is to help change the world one leader at a time. And if you took one thing away from our call today or one thing away from this video, and you apply it to your day and helps you have a better day, then hey, I feel like I've accomplished what I set out to. So thank you for jumping on this morning.